Have you ever felt like the world just doesn't understand you? Like no matter how hard you try, something inside you still feels incomplete? There's a reason for that. And it might not be what you think. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that most of us live with a silent stranger inside, a part of ourselves we've buried so deeply that we've forgotten it even exists. He called it the shadow. And until we confront it, until we listen to it, we can never truly be free. In this video, we're not just going to talk about Jung. We're going to talk about you, your fears, your secrets, the silent war you fight every day between who you are and who you pretend to be. Because what if I told you that the more you try to control everything in your life, the more you push away the one force that's been trying to help you all along? The universe. Yes, that might sound spiritual, mystical, even a little crazy, but Jung wasn't just a scientist, he was a seeker. He believed that when we stop living in fear, when we stop resisting, the universe actually starts responding. Not through magic, but through something much more powerful, awareness. This isn't going to be a lecture. This is a story, a journey, one that could change how you see your past, and how you move forward into your future. Along the way, I'll share real-life examples of people, maybe just like you, who were overwhelmed, anxious, stuck, and how, through Jung's ideas, they didn't just survive, they woke up. They transformed. If you've ever felt lost, if you've ever thought, there must be more to life than this, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear might just be the answer you didn't know you were looking for. Let's begin. Most of us think we know who we are. We have names, jobs, hobbies. We can describe our personality, kind, patient, funny, logical, or whatever labels we've grown comfortable with. But here's the truth. A huge part of who we are exists in the dark. Unseen, unspoken, rejected. Jung called this part the shadow, and no, it's not evil, it's human. The shadow is everything about ourselves that we don't want to face. It's the jealousy we deny, the anger we suppress, the selfishness we bury beneath our need to be liked. It's the thoughts we've had but are too ashamed to admit, even to ourselves. You see, from the moment we were children, we were taught what was acceptable. Don't cry, don't get angry, don't ask too many questions. Be a good girl, be a strong boy. So what happens? We adapt. We smile when we want to scream. We nod when we want to run away. And slowly, without even knowing it, we build two versions of ourselves. The one we show the world, and the one we lock away. But here's the twist. The shadow doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. In fact, the more we suppress it, the more it controls us from behind the curtain. That unexplained outburst at your partner? That feeling of emptiness even when everything seems fine. That's your shadow trying to speak. Trying to remind you, I'm still here. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, we'll call him Min. He was known as the calmest guy in the office. Always polite, always composed. Everyone liked Min, but every now and then, something strange happened. A colleague would make a harmless joke, and Min would explode. Just for a second, then apologize, laugh it off, pretend it didn't happen. What no one saw, not even Min, was that growing up, he was never allowed to show anger. His father told him, real men don't cry. Real men stay calm. So Min became calm, too calm, until the unexpressed emotions, the shadow, took over when he least expected it. The truth is, we all have a Min inside. We all carry wounds we've never addressed. And the longer we deny them, the louder they shout. Carl Jung didn't tell us to get rid of the shadow. He told us to befriend it. Because when you see your darkness clearly, you stop being controlled by it. When you stop pretending to be perfect, you start becoming whole. And that's where real transformation begins, not by fixing yourself, but by facing yourself. Would you like to continue to part 2, The Power of Dreams and the Unconscious? Ban Da Noi. Teep. Chad GPT Da Noi. Part 2. Dreams, the language of the unconscious. At night, when the world quiets down and the masks come off, something strange happens. Our minds begin to speak in riddles, symbols, stories, emotions that often make no sense when we wake up. But Carl Jung believed that dreams weren't random at all. They were messages from our unconscious, whispering truths we're too distracted, or too afraid, to hear in the daylight. You might dream of falling, or of running, or maybe you see someone from your past, long gone, suddenly standing right in front of you. Weird? Maybe. But meaningless? Not at all. Jung saw dreams as a sacred dialogue, a nightly conversation between the conscious mind and the deeper self, the self that knows what we've forgotten. Let me ask you, have you ever had a dream that stuck with you? One you couldn't explain but couldn't forget? There's a woman I once met, let's call her Mai. For months, she kept dreaming she was drowning in a lake. Every night, the same image: water rising, breath fading, fear tightening like a rope around her chest. But in real life, everything seemed fine. She had a stable job, a nice apartment, a loving fiancé. Still, something wasn't right. Eventually, she began to write her dreams down, not to analyze them like a puzzle, but to feel them. To ask herself, where in my life do I feel like I'm drowning? The answer shocked her. Mai realized that she had slowly been suffocating in a life that didn't feel like hers. She had followed every rule, taken every safe path, but she had stopped listening to herself. Her dream wasn't about death. It was a cry for rebirth. You see, the unconscious doesn't shout, it nudges, and if we don't listen, it finds louder ways to reach us, through anxiety, depression, even physical illness. Jung believed that when we ignore our inner world, we begin to lose connection to our soul. And that's not just poetic talk. It's the quiet death of authenticity. But here's the good news. The unconscious is patient. It waits. And it speaks in the only language it knows, dreams. You don't need to be a psychologist to understand them. You just need to be willing to pay attention. When you dream of a locked door, maybe it's a part of yourself you haven't opened in years. When you dream of being chased, maybe it's an emotion you're running from. When you dream of flying, maybe it's a call to finally let go of the weight you've been carrying. What if you started seeing your dreams not as nonsense, but as a map, a guide, a sacred invitation to reconnect with the parts of you that have been waiting, silently, patiently, to be heard? Because maybe, just maybe, your dreams know you better than you know yourself. Most people live their whole lives trying to fit in. We play roles: the obedient son, the dutiful wife, the successful employee, the funny friend. We collect praise for being what the world wants us to be. And in the process, we forget who we actually are. Carl Jung called the journey to reclaim the true self individuation. Not becoming someone better, not becoming someone new, but becoming yourself, fully, honestly, unapologetically. It sounds beautiful, but it's hard, because individuation requires one thing that most of us fear: truth. And truth doesn't always come gently. It might arrive as a midlife crisis, a divorce, a burnout so severe that you suddenly question everything you've built. These aren't failures, they're signals. Signs that your soul is tired of the act. Let me tell you about someone. Let's call him Kwang. Kwang had everything people said he should want: a high-paying job in tech, a modern condo, a girlfriend who adored him. From the outside, he was living the dream. But inside, he felt like a fraud. Every morning, he stared into the mirror and thought, whose life am I living? When the pandemic hit and work shifted online, Kwang started drawing again. It was something he used to love as a teenager. Before, real life told him it was a waste of time. At first it was just sketches during Zoom calls, then full illustrations, then a secret Instagram page. Something awakened. But here's the thing. Individuation isn't about quitting your job and running to the mountains, though some people do. It's about asking the question most of us avoid: what part of me have I abandoned? And slowly, courageously, bringing it back. Individuation isn't comfortable. You'll face your fears, your past, the voices in your head that say, you're not good enough, you'll fail, who do you think you are? But those voices? They're part of the journey too. Because real growth doesn't come from escaping your pain. It comes from walking through it, eyes open, heart raw, and soul ready. Think of it like this. Imagine your personality as a house. Most people live in just 2 or 3 rooms, the safe ones. The ones they've decorated for guests. But individuation? It's about exploring every corner. The dusty attic, the basement, even the locked closets you swore you'd never open. And here's the magic. The more of your house you explore, the more alive you feel. Not because you've fixed yourself, but because you've finally come home. Have you ever thought of someone, and they suddenly call you? Or maybe you stumbled upon a book that answered a question you didn't even know how to ask. Coincidence? Carl Jung had another word for it: synchronicity. He described it as a meaningful coincidence. Events that don't seem logically connected, yet feel deeply personal, like the universe sending you a whisper at just the right moment. And it's not about magic. It's not about superstition. It's about pattern, the invisible threads that connect your inner world to the world around you. To Jung, synchronicity was proof that life is not just a sequence of random events. It's a dance between the conscious and the unconscious, between your choices and something bigger than you. Let me give you a story. There was a man, we'll call him Tam, who had just lost his mother. He was devastated, drowning in grief. One night, unable to sleep, he went for a walk, wandering aimlessly through the city. He passed by an old bookshop and saw a worn-out journal in the window. On a whim, he stepped inside. The journal was filled with poetry. And on the first page, in faded handwriting, was a quote in Vietnamese. Chung ta kong chet, ta kai tro ta nung con giot tham tren vi noi min thuong. We do not die. We simply become the wind that whispers on the shoulders of those we love. He burst into tears. The shop owner said the book had been sitting there for years. No one touched it. Tam bought it, read every page, and felt, for the first time in weeks, that his mother was with him. Was it chance? Or was it something else? Jung never claimed to have all the answers. But he believed that when we become aware of our inner lives, our fears, dreams, wounds, we begin to notice things we never saw before. We start to tune in to life in a deeper way. Synchronicity doesn't mean every little thing is a sign. It means you're awake enough to notice the moments that matter. And that noticing, that presence, it's what opens the door to transformation. So the next time something strange happens, a chance meeting, a repeated symbol, a moment of perfect timing, don't rush to dismiss it. Ask yourself, what am I meant to hear right now? Because maybe, just maybe, life is always speaking to us. We just have to slow down and listen. From the moment we step into the world, we're handed a mask. Be a good boy. Be a smart girl. Don't cry. Smile. Shake hands. Say thank you. And slowly, without even realizing it, we begin to shape our persona, the version of ourselves that's acceptable, admired, and safe. Carl Jung called it the persona, the social mask we wear to function in society. It helps us fit in, helps us survive, and to some extent, it's necessary. But here's the danger. We start to believe that the mask is who we really are. We spend so much time adjusting ourselves to please others, to be liked, respected, accepted, that we forget what our real face even looks like. Let me tell you about a woman, we'll call her Ha. Ha was the definition of put together. Elegant, poised, always in control. She worked in finance, wore heels that echoed confidence, and knew how to make people admire her. But inside, Ha was exhausted. She had spent years trying to be the perfect daughter, the successful woman, the mature one, always composed, always in control. But when she came home at night, she would sit on the floor of her kitchen and cry, quietly. In secret, not because something had gone wrong, but because she didn't know who she was anymore. That's the price of the mask. And it's not just Ha. It's the man who hides his sensitivity under sarcasm. It's the mother who smiles while feeling lost. It's all of us, at one point or another, pretending we're fine, because the truth feels too risky to share. But here's the paradox. The more we hide, the more alone we feel. And the more alone we feel, the more we cling to the mask. Jung believed that the path to wholeness isn't about destroying the ego. It's about integrating it, understanding it, and then gently, bravely, peeling it back, layer by layer, until you can look at yourself honestly. That's not weakness, that's courage, because it takes immense bravery to say, this is me, not the version you want, not the version I polished, just me. And when you do that, truly do that, something incredible happens. People see you, really see you, and even more importantly, you see yourself. Not the role, not the title, not the shell, but the soft, raw, powerful truth of who you are, and who you're becoming. So ask yourself, what mask have I been wearing? Who taught me I needed it? And what would it feel like to take it off? Because maybe the most radical act of love isn't loving others. Maybe it's allowing yourself to be fully known. Beneath the masks, beneath the adult responsibilities and achievements, there is a smaller version of you still alive. A little boy, a little girl, curious, open, sensitive, desperate to be loved exactly as they are. Carl Jung understood something most of us forget as we grow up, that the past doesn't stay in the past. It echoes, it imprints, it hides in our triggers, our fears, our relationships. This is the inner child, the part of you that was shaped long before you learned how to protect yourself. And if that child was hurt, ignored, judged, abandoned, those wounds don't just disappear. They become the blueprint for how you live as an adult. Let me tell you a story. There's a man named Hai. He's a successful entrepreneur, confident, rational, strategic, but every time someone gives him critical feedback, even gentle, helpful advice, he shuts down. He either gets defensive or goes silent for days. It hurts far more than it should. He thought it was just stress or pride, but during a therapy session, Hai remembered something. As a boy, when he got a B+ instead of an A, his father would glare and say, "Not good enough." It didn't matter how hard he tried. It never felt like enough. That small wound, a child's desperate hunger for approval, became the engine for Hai's adult success. He built empires just to earn a "well done" that never came. And the fear of rejection? Still there, still raw. Jung would say, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives, and we will call it fate. Healing the inner child isn't about blaming your parents. Most did the best they could with what they had. It's about acknowledging the pain, giving that small voice inside you the love and safety it never received. And here's the beautiful part. The child within you doesn't need you to be perfect. They just need you to listen. To say, "I see you. I hear you. You didn't deserve that, and I'm here now." You start by noticing, when do you overreact? When do you shrink? When do you feel small, even though you're grown? Those are clues. Because the child within isn't gone. They're waiting for the adult you to come back and say, "It's safe now." And when you do, something miraculous happens. You stop living for approval. You stop chasing love like a prize. You stop running from vulnerability. You come back home, not to the past, but to the part of yourself that never gave up on you. That, Jung would say, is where true maturity begins, not in conquering the world, but in reparenting yourself, and becoming the loving guide your younger self always needed. Death. The word alone makes us uncomfortable. We avoid it, joke about it, pretend it's far away. But Carl Jung saw death not as the end, but as part of a deeper cycle. Death and rebirth. And not just physical death, but symbolic death. The death of an identity. The death of an illusion. The death of who we thought we had to be. You see, real transformation isn't gentle. It doesn't ask for permission. It breaks. It strips away. It feels, at first, like falling apart. But Jung believed that before you become whole, you must first let the false self die. Let me tell you about a man named Lam. Lam was in his late 40s. Successful, married, father of 2. One morning, he woke up and realized he felt absolutely nothing. No excitement, no meaning, just numbness. At first, he tried to fix it with vacations, then with therapy, then with antidepressants, but nothing touched the emptiness inside him. Until one night, during a silent retreat, something broke open, a grief he couldn't name, a sadness he had carried for years. He cried for hours, not because of any one thing, but because he realized he had built a life that looked perfect on paper, but felt like a stranger's story. And in that breakdown came something else. Clarity, humility, space. That was his symbolic death. The end of the persona. The crumbling of the old structure. And afterward, he didn't throw everything away. He didn't abandon his family or sell all his possessions. But he started living differently. More honestly, more slowly, more soulfully. He started writing again, something he hadn't done since college. He had real conversations with his children. He looked his wife in the eye and said, "I've been hiding. But I don't want to hide anymore." This is what Jung meant by rebirth. Not reinvention, reconnection. It's why so many spiritual traditions speak of the dark night of the soul, that moment when nothing makes sense. When the lights go out, and you're forced to face yourself. Jung saw these dark moments not as crises to escape from, but as initiations, sacred trials the soul must pass through on the road to becoming whole. So if you're in that place now, if you feel lost, broken, tired of pretending, this is not the end. This might be your beginning. The old you, the one built on fear, people pleasing, approval seeking, is dying. Let it die. Because what comes next is you. Not the you the world taught you to be, but the you that was always waiting beneath the noise, whole, awake, alive, at the very heart of Carl Jung's philosophy. Beneath all the terms and symbols and theories is one simple truth. You are not broken. You are becoming, but you cannot become until you surrender. Most of us live with our fists clenched, trying to control life, manage every outcome, protect ourselves from pain. We think if we worry enough, plan enough, strive enough, we can avoid suffering. But Jung believed something radically different. He believed that the more we try to control life, the more we separate ourselves from it. Because life, real life, does not respond to fear. It responds to trust. It responds to truth. And when you begin to face your shadow, to listen to your dreams, to take off the mask, to care for your inner child, to allow the death of what no longer serves you, something begins to shift. You no longer have to chase meaning. You become it. You no longer have to force the future. You allow it. And in that allowing, in that sacred pause between doing and being, the universe begins to whisper. Not with answers, but with alignment. You start meeting the right people. You start feeling drawn to the right books, the right questions, the right moments. You begin to sense that life isn't happening to you, it's unfolding through you. And that's not because the world changed. It's because you did. Let me end with a story. There was a woman named Yen. For years, she carried the weight of shame from her past, her failures, her mistakes. She felt unworthy of love, undeserving of peace. But one night, exhausted from trying to fix herself, she stood on her balcony and whispered, "I surrender." That was it. No fancy ritual, no spiritual fireworks, just a quiet release. And from that moment forward, her life didn't become perfect, but it became honest. She stopped pretending. She stopped apologizing for being herself. She stopped running. And for the first time, she felt free. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who they told you to be. Not who you pretend to be. Who you are, raw, messy, real, radiant." So if you take one thing from this journey, let it be this. You don't need to figure everything out. You don't need to become someone better. You just need to come home to yourself. And when you do, when you stop worrying, stop forcing, stop hiding, something incredible happens. The universe listens. Because finally, so do you.